Hello, and welcome to the EGX Rezzed developer sessions. Let's do that. That's good. No, don't do that. At the end of the session, there'll probably be a bit of time for Q&A. There's a microphone in the middle of the room, so when Magic's finished, if you want to ask a question, go and queue up at the microphone, and we'll get through as many as possible. So yeah, without further ado, this is Maciej Binkowski, and he is showing you Dying Light.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Maciej Binkowski. I'm the lead game designer for Dying Light, Techland's latest game. Before we start, I just wanted to say thank you to you all for coming. I remember when I was back in primary school and my teacher would ask me, Mr. Binkowski, what do you want to do when you grow up? And the truth is, I had absolutely no idea. But I've been into games. This is me, late 1980s. I know, I had a lot more hair back then. So I said to my teacher, well, you know, I don't really know, but I would love to do something with games. And fast forward 20 years, and here I am. I'm 32 now, and I still don't know what I want to do with my life. But the important thing is, I'm standing here as a game designer, and I'm about to speak about this game that I'm working on. So being here for me is a dream come true. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. All right, let's get to the point. Techland has been developing games for over 10 years now, and is mostly known for games like the Call of Juarez series, with the latest installment Gunslinger, and of course the open world zombie game Dead Island, which I was lucky enough to work on as an associate producer. Today, I would like to take you a little behind scenes of our latest production, Dying Light. By the way, is there anyone here who never heard about Dying Light before? Raise your hand. Just one, two. All right, not so many. I got to talk to our marketing. They're doing good. Okay. So the reason... just to bring you all guys on the same page, Dying Light is an action survival game, first person. It's set in vast open world infected with zombies. It has dynamic day and night cycle and absolutely visceral melee combat. Who likes to smash zombies and cut them into pieces? Let's hear you. Let's hear you. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Now, we love that too. So we made sure that when you hit them, you get to really feel every single hit. But the reason I'm here today is to tell you about a revolution that we believe Dying Light will bring to first-person genre. I'm here to tell you about unprecedented freedom of movement that we're giving to the players and about challenges that it brings to us developers. So let's get back in time a little bit. I remember many, many years ago playing a lot of side-scrollers, and then I would play Wolfenstein for the very first time. Wow. 3D. It was awesome. Then, a couple of years later, first-person games would add jumping. Jumping. Can you believe that? I can jump. Do you guys remember Duke Nukem 3D? I jumped hell out of this game. And then, somewhere about 1996, my father, by the way, I think he's watching. Hey, Dad. He's a retailer for computer hardware, and he took me on one of his business trips. And as he was conducting his business, I noticed that in one of our distributor's office, they had Quake installed. So as I was waiting, I got to this machine, and let me tell you, playing Quake for the very first time, it blew me away. It was so real. I mean, the game was so intense. It was like a next step in the evolution. And playing it was so intense that I felt my whole body is burning red. I played maybe for 15 minutes, and then my father came back. He looked at me and was like, "Are you okay?" I wasn't okay. My whole face was red. My heads were shaking. Oh my God, it was the best game ever. You can imagine the whole way back, I was like, Dad, I really need this game. It's so cool, I need it. And since that time, a lot of great games showed up. But somehow, in the process, a lot of first-person games went from this to this. Right now, we're in a roller coaster, and all we can do is just push forward. And to make things even worse, they give you this really amazing guns, and you can make huge explosions. And on top of that, they give you breathtaking, really stunning cinematic sequences to look at. But on the other hand, you cannot climb a simple fence or jump over a wall. And sometimes it's knee-high. And come on, it's ridiculous. Knee-high wall, my grandma could jump over that. So when we started working on Dying Light, we sat down and we started discussing what we would like to see the next skin open world game. And one of the most recurring topic was freedom of movement. A lot of people would say, you know what? I want to get over that freaking fence. I want to be able to jump over a wall. I want to get on this building, see what's on top. I want to play the game my way. And so we set ourselves a number of goals, which is everything that looks that you can climb it, you can. No invisible walls. In Dying Light, the whole world is your playground. And so we started building prototypes, and after number of iteration, this is how Dying Light map looks. This is a top-down view, and it's only part of one of the maps because it's so huge that I wasn't able to fit it into the screen. So you get to choose where you want to go. You decide how you want to get there. You are in total control. And what's important about it, all maps are open vertically. So that means we're giving you unprecedented freedom of movement. We believe Dying Light is a next step in evolution of movement. And we also believe that the rest of the games will soon have to follow. And this is because once you spend a couple of hours in a game that allows you to traverse completely free, you can never go back. It's just impossible. You just feel so restricted. So what does it really mean? Or perhaps I should say, for you, players, why should you care? So I'm going to give you 3 reasons. First one is, in Dying Light, just going from point A to point B is an adventure. You see, we're not restricting you at all. So here what happens. The game asks you to go to some place on the other side of the map. So what do? You start traversing in that direction, and a couple minutes later, you find yourself, okay, I'm just going to get inside this building, see what's in it. Then you jump out a window, then you climb this fence, jump on a wall, get on a rooftop, and suddenly you're like, holy shit, how did I even get here? I was going there. And you know why this happens? This happens because you just can. It feels good. So here's a little example. I was just trying to get on the other side of the map. I didn't really want to feel like fighting zombies. I would go left. Then I'm climbing on this building. Maybe go left. No, too many zombies. So I'm just going to get in this building, get inside, take a quick look, go left. No. Maybe go right. Get out of here. Let's kill this thing. So, that leads us to a feature that makes sandbox games great. If someone's going for the tournament, that's your time. So that leads us to a feature that makes sandbox great. That means emergent gameplay. Since we are not restricting you to path, we don't force you. That means you just get yourself into situations that are not scripted, but, well, they just happen. Here's a little example. I found this guy in a hazmat suit. I'm throwing a decoy. try to pull them in one single place. Then I run in, I hit him at the gas tank, and then boom. And that stuff, you know, we have people running around the office coming in and saying like, dude, you're not gonna believe what I just did. I've run into this zombie, I kick him in the ass, he fall down and he exploded, the roof collapsed, the zombie started pouring in. It was incredible. And then, once you get yourself into situations like this, freedom of movement actually allows you to have many, many options how to handle them. So imagine you're running into a group of zombies. If I have a good weapon, probably I could just run in and start smashing. But what if I don't really feel like fighting? Because maybe my health is low. Or maybe it's kind of getting late, the sun is already going down, and I don't want to be caught in the city during night. So, well, what could I do? So I'm going to scan the environment quickly. I don't want to fight these guys. So again, I'm heading for the roofs, trying to avoid them. All right, let's get into this building. Should be safe. Whoops, zombie. Let's get out of here. But perhaps I could try something else. I have a different set of abilities, so perhaps I could do this. I'm just gonna run right into them, jump off this zombie, move as fast as I can, die under here, and I'm out. Again, it's you who decide how you want to handle those situations. Now, of course, bringing this kind of freedom created a lot of challenges for us, and a lot of them we didn't even realize until we've run into them. Well, the first big thing that we had to learn was how to make world climbable. And we started with an idea that we're going to place special objects, markers, on the map, on all the places that you're supposed to climb. You see, we thought that we need and we want to control where the players can go. What we realized really, really soon was that we ended up with about 50,000 objects like this on a single map. And 50,000 wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to pull all the spots that you can climb. Now, imagine managing this, changing something in the world or in the objects themselves. 50,000 is a mess. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce, this is Piotr Pawlaczyk, one of our senior level designers. He leads the team responsible for the slums map. And this is how Piotr looked like when he had to deal with 50,000 objects. So at this point, we already knew this is dead end. It's impossible. So we had to go back and try something different. We had to start from the scratch. This time we knew that we have to automate the whole process. And in the meantime, we got this thought in our heads that wouldn't it be cool if you could just climb anything? This is a very good friend of mine, Bartosz Kulon. He's an absolute total badass programmer. And he came up with another prototype, one that doesn't need any object to be placed in the world, one that decides on the fly if you can get on something or not, one that actually delivered what we wanted without creating a mess. And of course, as you can imagine, the first prototype wasn't perfect, but it allowed us to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And what it also allowed us, it allowed us to believe, it allowed us to know that we can make it. That's how Piotr looked like after we got rid of all the objects and, and used the automatic system. By the way, I know these guys are watching, so please, big applause for these guys. Thank you. All right, so we've learned how to allow you to climb. Next big lesson was we had to bring the action to the roofs. You see, in a regular first-person game, a roller coaster kind of game, pretty much all that you see from buildings, from the environment, is just a facade. You know, it's like a movie set. It's very nice up front, but there's nothing inside, there's nothing behind it, there's nothing on top of it. It's just all empty, and it's made out of wood. So we decided to allow you guys to go wherever you want. So we had to make sure that once you get there, there's actually something for you to see, something for you to explore. And so we had to create the locations in a way that once you get on this rooftop, there's actually something for you to see. Hey, I want to go there. There's actually something for you to loot. And then we also had to adjust our AI. So, because they need to be able to challenge you even if you run to the roofs. So here's a little example.
It's nearly sunset, so
as you can see,
you don't want to get caught.
There's plenty of places where you could try to run. There are enemies that you can tackle. There is fun on the roofs. Last but not least, we had to learn how to make you feel badass. And what I mean by that, we want to create an experience of you being this badass free runner. And that means we want you to experience being fast and being agile. How do we do it? Well, we started with this idea that perhaps if we put a camera on an actor and then ask him to run around, climb stuff, we'll be able to take the recording and just transfer the movements into the game. What happened was it just doesn't transfer. The camera doesn't really reflect the experience that you have when you're moving fast, when you traverse at high speed, when you do all that free running stuff. So we had to go back again, start from the scratch, and this time we made handmade animations. All that, camera rolls, everything to make you feel that you have weight. And then we added handmade animations of your arms and legs, all that to create the feeling that you have a body that has weight, but at the same time it feels fast and agile and it feels awesome when you're moving. And it went okay, it went very, very good. But in the process, we discovered yet another challenge. It seems it's pretty easy to get sick when you're playing fast-paced game. You see, when we move around in the real world, your brain gets at least two signals. So one goes to your eyes. You see that visually something changes. And then you get second signal, your balance sense, which is in your inner ear, that allows you to feel that, okay, I know where it's going. Now, while you're playing a game, you get to see that something's changing, but your inner ear is sitting comfortably in a chair, and that's where the discomfort comes from. That's the feeling you know as the motion sickness. So, one more time, we had to go back, we had to look at our animations in slow motion, and we had to find all the places where the animation would be too dramatic. You see, when there's dramatic change visually, your brain expects that there's going to be something really intense for your inner ear. So what we had to do was tune the animations in a way that they don't put your brain out of comfort zone, but at the same time, we keep the momentum of you being fast and agile and moving forward. Another thing, here's what you can see. This is a look from the side of the camera track of climbing animations. If you look on the picture to the left, this is how it looked like before we started smoothing it out. You can see that the camera dives in, and then it kind of goes back up and really fast forward. You can see that there's this little spike area. This is way too dramatic. This is going to make you feel uncomfortable. So after the changes, after we smooth it out, you can see over there that the move doesn't have this jerkiness in the middle, but it keeps the momentum and it allows you to go forward. Additionally, we also had to learn about reference points. You see, your brain picks a lot of reference points to use for navigation. Points that are relatively stable. Now, in the game, it happened that a lot of stuff would just move, and if your brain doesn't get enough reference points, it starts to feel like you're intoxicated or poisoned. And that's when you start to feel dizzy. It's much easier with first-person shooters because even if everything is moving, what you get inside of the screen? You get the barrel of the gun. It becomes the reference point. It's pretty stable. But Dying Light focuses mostly on melee combat, and you're swinging your weapons all across, so it doesn't count. So what we had to do was introduce a little tiny dot in the center of the screen. And what that does, is that correct? Sorry for my English. It's like when you're traveling by bus and you're starting to feel sick, you focus on the objects that are very, very, very far. Why? Because they're relatively stable, and this allows your brain to calm down. So that's what we did. We put this dot in the center, and it helped a lot. Whew, that was a lot of talking. All right, let's wrap it up. We believe that with the freedom, with the total freedom of movement that we're giving you, we're going to change the FPP, the first-person genre. And we really, really hope that with Dying Light's vast choices of how you can handle in-game situations, and with the emergent gameplay, this game will offer you hours and hours of fun. I really can't wait for you guys to get your hands on the game. I'm really curious how far you can take it and what kind of crazy stuff you can pull. Thank you so much for coming.
Cool. So if anyone has a question for Maciej, just come up here and queue up, and we should be able to get through a few. Don't be shy. Cool. Here we go.
Hi.
How you doing?
Too close? Yeah. I know this is probably more of a programmer's question, but when it comes to the dynamic climbing, how did you actually get around that?
Well, all I can say is that we developed a system that on the fly checks the environment and based on a set of rules decide if the object is climbable or not. Now, I'm not a technical guy, so all the nitty-gritty details are the secret of my friend. He's the man behind the system. So I don't know if this answers his question, but kind of.
I have a rough idea. The other thing I wanted to ask was, when you said you put a dot in the center of the screen, is that I don't know, I didn't notice that when you were showing the clip. Is it literally just a really small dot in the distance?
Well, all the movies didn't have the dot because I disabled the HUD. But when you're playing, it's like a bright dot that you can see on the screen, and that allows you to focus. You have a stable point for your brain of something that doesn't change.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. My question was that you said earlier that there was a situation one of your colleagues was in when he was playing, about he blew up a zombie and it blew up the roof and stuff. Does that mean that your entire surroundings are destructible?
I didn't. Did I say anything about destructive environment?
You said that he was in a fight with zombies. One of them blew up.
Yeah.
The roof blew up, and zombies poured in.
Not the whole environment. There are certain objects that are destroyable.
Okay, that was my main question. I did want to ask: are all the buildings going to be accessible as well? You can get in every building, sort of thing.
Yeah, if there's something there that you can grab on, then yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You had mine. Don't worry.
Hi, I'm not sure if this is something you're going to be able or willing to answer, but do you have a release date or some sort of schedule that you're trying to keep to, like a quarter of the year or anything?
I was expecting this to be the first question.
Yeah, I was amazed I had to queue up to ask it. I thought it was first up.
Yes, we have the schedule, but at this point I can't give you any update on the subject. Sorry.
How about information on when you're expecting to release a release date then?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Unfortunately, sorry, no update.
Okay.
Hi there.
Just two quick questions, really. You talk about the future of the first person and simulator sickness. Are you planning to support VR officially with the Oculus Rift and the Sony Morpheus?
At this point, I can tell you this. We already showed Dying Light playing on VR, and people enjoyed it. And that's all I can say.
Fair enough. The last question is related to the new Valve initiative with SteamOS. Do you plan to support Linux or SteamOS through this? I know your game engine supports Linux, so...
That's a very good question, and to be honest, I don't know. But, I kind of work in a different department. But I guess we'll check it out, and as soon as I have the official information, we'll let you know.
That's great, thank you.
You talked about dynamic day and night cycles, and I was wondering if there's going to be any significant gameplay changes during like the different day and night and stuff like that. The zombies going to react differently.
Oh yeah, the important thing is that we don't only cycle like the day and night, and it's just for the view. We shift enemies' population from day to night. We change their behaviors. New creatures come at night. So it's like two different experiences. During the day, you spend most time, scavenging for supplies, exploring, stuff like this. And during the night, pretty much what you do is try not to die before the sun rises up.
Thanks.
Hi, got two questions. First question is, was there any point in the game where at creating the game, that you decided to not doing third person? Did you consider third person? Like, you could switch between first or third person?
Well, there's a lot of guys around the office who love to play third-person games, and they keep coming like, no, I want third person. But we're sticking to the first person because we think it's something new, and it really brings you in. So we want to keep this kind of experience of that it is you being there. And so yeah, we're sticking to the first person.
Okay. Second question is, why did you choose, I'm assuming it's a sort of resilient favela environment. Why did you choose that sort of environment other than some sort of urban environment?
Well, we were looking for an environment that would allow us to really use the potential to move around the environment, and having something so vertical just allows us to have a really, really cool playground.
Okay, so you didn't think of jetpacks or anything? That not suit your game?
Oh, we thought about jetpacks.
Timefall.
Jetpacks are awesome.
Yeah.
So we did think about jetpacks, but that's it. We did.
Okay, right, thank you.
Hello? Okay.
Hi.
Going back to those collapsible roofs, is those kind of environmental changes static, so they'll stay broken as opposed to just repopulating next time you run through that section of the map?
They will stay broken for a certain period of time, and eventually they will respawn.
Also, in regards to the visual aspects of avoiding motion sickness, the distant dot sort of thing, were those active attempts to research the mitigating effect you can do with VR and Oculus and those sort of eye sets? Because that's obviously a big concern for people considering it.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Is there kind of an echo in this? Well, when you wear a headset, if you suffer motion sickness, it's much worse than if it does for everything. So was the dot and on the screen and all that other research you did into mitigating motion sickness part of an active research attempt for planning for future VR games?
Oh, I see. Well, we did all that even before we started working with VR. The game was just so intense. There were so many things happening on the screen that we all had to address it before. But playing on VR is awesome. I mean, the first thing I did when I got the VR thing on my head was climb a building and I jumped. And it really grips your guts, and you're like, and then you take it off, and you're like, okay, I'm back on a chair. It's really awesome.
All right, thank you.
Hi, thanks. Just wanted to say it was a great presentation. And
Thank you
looking
so
forward
much.
to the game. Mirror's Edge, probably one of my favourite games, so really looking forward to this. Just wanted to ask, basically to follow on from one of the other guys' questions, you mentioned that this was one of the maps that you've got. Can you talk about any of the other locations, what they're going to sort of look like? Are they going to be in the same sort of Brazilian favela, or will it be an entirely different location?
Well, we want each map to have its own theme, and also that the gameplay experience is different. It's unique on these maps. So I can't tell you too much, but if you try to dig a video from PS4 launch event, we actually showed our new physical-based lighting, and it was shown on the other part
Okay, brilliant. I'll check that on YouTube.
of Dying Light, so you can take a little peek what's there.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Last two questions.
Hi, you mentioned that it's predominantly melee, but I was wondering how much gunplay was in there. Is it similar to, say, the original Dead Island where there's a bit, or Dead Island Riptide where it's mostly gunplay?
So the guns are there, but you have to know two things. First, guns are scarce. Second, they're pretty powerful, so it's relatively easy to kill things fast. But they're very loud, and the enemies are attracted to noise. So you always have to consider, this trade-off of power versus noise. Like if, you have to ask yourself, is this the right moment to use the firearm? Because if I start shooting, I can get a lot of them on my head. So perhaps not. On the other side, you're just going to say, screw it, I need to kill it, and then I'm going to run away. So mostly it's when you start using guns, that means you got to keep moving, because they're going to come and see what was making the noise. But if you're clever, you can actually shoot a number of guys, then hide and see as they're coming and trying to investigate what was happening.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. So you started off by talking about invisible walls and knee-high walls. How do you deal with the edge of your finite map areas?
Well, there are many options. One of them, of course, is the natural barriers. So you can think lakes, mountains, stuff that evidently you can't go through. Then, for example, you can see objects that are unclimbable at first sight. So that means the action takes place in a quarantined city. So at some point, you can expect to see a wall with barbed wire that you won't be able, it either is going to be so high that you won't be able to reach it, or there's going to be a barbed wire that, makes it impossible to traverse.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, that's about all we've got time for, so just remains to say thank you very much to Maciej.
Thank you, it was an honor. Thank you.
Bad news from the start.